Some of the most special types of trainers are gym leaders, elite four members, and champions. What's interesting though is that you'll find that most of them specialize in a specific type. You can also find type specialists in rivals or evil team members. But what if you can find out who's the strongest specialist for each type? Well, I'm Sho, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. Let's dive in. Before we start, allow me to briefly explain how I calculated this and how it will work. I went through each of the specialists, took their strongest team, found the base stat totals of each of the Pokemon of that team, and added it up to create a total score. In this video, I will share each of their total scores from lowest to highest, going by types of course. Whichever specialist has the highest stats is deemed the strongest specialist of that type. So without further ado, let's start with normal. First we start off with Alima, who has a total score of 1,148. Then there's Lenora, with a score of 2,880. Next up is Sharon, with a score of 2,930. Then Whitney, with a score of 2,982. Then finally Norman, with a score of 3,220. Norman is the strongest normal specialist. Next up is Fire. We start off with Kiawe, who has a score of 1,479. Then Marva with 1,996. Then Cabo with 2,535. Then Chili with 3,017. Up by 3 points is Flannery with 3,020. Then Flint with 3,134. And finally Blaine with 3,179. Blaine is the strongest fire type specialist. Now let's head into fighting. We start with Karina, who's at 1,355. Then B with 2,462. Up by 5 points is Hala with 2,467. Then Bruno with 2,869. Then Chuck with 2,885. Third highest is Brawley with 2,937. Second highest is Marshall with 2,975. And the highest is Maylene with 2,982. Maylene is the strongest fighting specialist. Now time for water. The lowest is Lana with 1,439. Then Seabold with 2,060. Then Nessa with 2,395. Then Cress with 2,910. Then Marlin with 2,950. Then Misty with 2,980. Third highest is Crash Awake with 3,040. Second highest by 1 point is Juan with 3,041. And finally, the highest is Wallace with 3,065. Wallace is the strongest water specialist. Now let's do flying. Kahili has 2,481. Winona has 2,950. Higher by 9 points is Faulkner with 2,959. And finally, Skyler with 3,018. Skyler is the strongest flying specialist. Now grass. The lowest is Ramos at 1,381. Higher by 8 points is Mallow with 1,389. Then Milo with 2,385. Then third place is Silent with 2,335. Second place is Gardenia with 3,020. And first place is Erica with 3,069. Erica is the strongest grass specialist. Now let's do poison. The lowest is Melly with 1,434. Then Clara 455. Then Plumeria with 2,510. Third highest is Koga with 2,921. Second highest is Roxy with 2,948. And the highest is Janine with 3,010. Janine is the strongest poison specialist. Next up is Electric. We have Clement with 374. Then Sophocles with 2,505. Then Elisa with 2,944. Third place is Watson with 3,015. Second place is Faulkner with 3,083. But LT Surge beats him by just 2 points with 3,085. So LT Surge is the strongest electric specialist. Next up is Ground. We have Hapu with 2,497. Clay with 3,069. Up by 4 points is Bertha with 3,073. And finally Giovanni with 3,194. Giovanni is the strongest ground type specialist. We'll continue with Psychic. The lowest is Olympia with 1,446. Then Avery with 2,405. Then Faba with 2,443. Then Dexio with 2,600. Then Will with 2,903. Then Tate and Lisa with 2,938. Third is Lucian with 2,993. Second is Caitlyn with 3,085. And first is Sabrina with 1,335. Sabrina is the strongest psychic specialist. Now it's time for Rock. We start off with Grant, who has 1042, then Olivia with 2517, then Gordy with 2585, third is Brock with 3025, second by 10 points is Roxanne with 3035, and first is Roark with 3115. Roark is the strongest rock type specialist. Let's do ice next. We have Cena with a new low of 855. Next is Garrick with 1474, then Wolfric with 1523, Sizzlin with 1540, Melanie with 2480, Lorelai with 2930, Candace with 3019, up by 5 points is Glacia with 3024, up by 6 points is Price with 3030, and first place is Bryson with 3070. Bryson is the strongest ice specialist. Time for Bug. We start off with Viola, who has 865. It's a low score, but it's still 10 better than Cena's. Then there's Gizmo with 2484, then Berg with 2938, then Aaron with 3009, and Bugsy is 6 higher with 3015, so Buggy is the strongest bug specialist. Now is the moment you've all been waiting for. The big scores. The lowest is Jasna at 2004, then there's Ryan at 2610, then there's Zinnia at 2746, then Ryuki at 2770, then Drake at 3184, then Drayden at 3235, a new high since Norman. Third highest is Claire at 3315, second highest is Iris at 3372, and finally the highest is Lance at 3400. Lance is the strongest dragon specialist. Now we move on to Ghost. We start off with Acerola at 2530, Alistair at 2563, Agatha at 2818, Phoebe at 2873, Chantal at 2964, Morty at 2975, and higher by 8 points is Fantina at 2983. Fantina is the strongest ghost specialist. Dark Time. The lowest is Nanu with 2309. Next up is Marnie with 2370. Then Pierce with 2471. Third place is Sydney with 2913. Second place is Karen with 2990. And first place is Grimsley with 3190. Grimsley is the strongest dark type specialist. The second to last type is Steel. The lowest is Wickstrom at 1995. Then Rose at 2444. Then Peony at 2470, Elaine at 2520, Byron at 360, third place is Chorus at 3125, second place is Jasmine at 3140, and first place is Steven at 3195. Steven is the strongest steel type specialist. And finally, Fairy. Lily's the lowest at 949, then there's Valerie at 1365, then third highest is Opal at 1910, second highest is Mina at 2224, and the highest is Bede at 2433. Bede is the strongest fairy specialist. Just want to put out there that if there's any notable trainers you didn't see in this video, that's because they don't specialize in one specific type. Their teams are actually built on various types. But let's briefly review the strongest specialists for each of the types, then we'll call it a day. They are Norman for normal, Blaine for fire, Maylene for fighting, Wallace for water, Skylar for flying, Erica for grass, Janine for poison, LT Search for electric, Giovanni for ground, Sabrina for psychic, Roark for rock, Bryson for ice, Bugsy for bug, Lance for dragon, Fantina for ghost, Grimsley for dark, Steven for steel, and Bede for fairy. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to toggle that like button and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, and see ya.